proudest day and the proudest time in the seat of a rally car, because that day and that hour and those minutes, I got the bit between my teeth. You know, I really stood up and was counted and said, this is not getting away. I remember when we pulled on our helmets and Donald says to me, what are we doing? I said, we're going for gold, Barrett. That's all we said. I can still picture that run. That was just the best run ever.
Welcome to Krunching Gears, the Rally Podcast. We've a bit of another special again this week, the R.A.C. special. Connor, we spoke about this rally last week. It was an epic event, wasn't it?
We did. Look, we chatted about it in the podcast and we were glued to it on social media while it was taking place. Cracking, 4 days of rally and absolutely excellent. You know, it had all the twists, the turns, you know, the plot thickened as the event went on. It was great.
Yeah, for sure. And we were very fortunate we caught up with the winners of the event, Marty McCormick and Barney Mitchell, and then that'll roll into then probably one of the stars of the event, maybe we should say the Stratus, well, you know, Perez and Gary McElhinney as well. And then we catch up with some of the crews from this side of the R.A.C. that was over as well too. We catch up with Robert Woodside, Allan Harryman, Dean Beckett, Bryan Jardine, Fintan McGrady, Davy Burns, and Declan Campbell, you know, and they've all got great wee stories to tell, you know, but like, you know, there's no point in us telling you all about it, you know. Let's, you know, first of all, we'll hear from Marty, and you can just imagine how that conversation goes. Marty, that's 4 for you and 3 for Barney. Nice record to have.
Very, very nice record to have. Yeah, I think I joked with Barney. I says, you know, you're going to have to catch up here sometime. So you are. I'm always staying one ahead. So no, absolutely unbelievable. Can't you know, to have it 4 times. You know, frig me, it's tough enough to get it once, but to get it 4 times, it's just it's something really special.
Yeah, I think Barney, this year there was something. I don't know what magical is maybe a wee bit strong a word, but there was something very special about this event this year. Like the interest this was in the build up to this event was just like nothing normal. You know, the Solberg and Chris Meek and, you know, the TR7, the Stratus. Like, was it? Did you just get caught up in all this kind of intrigue before the event even started?
It was a bit. I suppose like an Olympic year. All the stars showed up. It was a bit. Even for the R.A.C. it was a bit special, and we didn't get caught up in the hype, but we drove in till Carmarthen, to the showgrounds. You drive along the main road, and you just look to the left as you're looking for the entry into the showgrounds. You just see this sea of vans, trailers, lorries, tire trucks, and we drove in through it, and the guy said to me, Jesus Christ, I says, us 2 lampers are running number 1, and that's like, and you do, it's humbling, like, you know. It definitely is. You had to take a wee moment to yourself and think, Jesus, we're going to have to sharpen the pencil here.
I had to tell him to stop crying.
You handed me a tissue.
Not good,
At least it was clean.
But like Marty, you know, getting that number 1 on the door, like, and you know, seeing that entry list of all the stars that was behind you. That, like, it must be a pinch yourself moment.
It was definitely, you know, to have your name, you know, myself and Barney's name and Dripperstown, you know, beside the entry in front of Chris Meek and Andorra and Oliver Solberg and wherever he lives. But you know,
Scandinavia, Marty.
Scandinavia, where ever these taxes, these boys.
He's not Ballyrunning anyway.
He's not Ballyrunning. But you know, it was, you know, and all those things behind it, you know, you just hadn't got, you know, and it's very easy to get just, you know, starstruck, I suppose, or whatever by Meek and Solberg and the likes of that. But you know, you had all the top heavy hitters from the historic game coming out to play as well. You know, you had Paul Bart, Jason Pritchard, you had Hetherington, you know, you had anybody there. You know, you had Richard Tuttle there as well, who I actually, you know, from the form during the year, I thought would have been a stronger contender. But such as the R.A.C, you know, it is unique and it's way it plays out. I suppose people can do a lot of preparation during the year, but yet it can unfold very quickly during the R.A.C, and you can see that from even Roger Tillman exiting the first stage with his engine. Chris, obviously the engine problem as well in the first day as well, but and poor old Paul didn't make it out either. But the thing is, that's one end of it, and you see a lot of preparation. But then you look at Richard there, who wasn't as sharp as definitely I thought. I thought he would have been a real threat. And to be fair to Oliver, he was Oliver and Oisin. They obviously were very strong there at the start, but it's a different game, R.A.C. And it is a different game, and it's hard to prep for it, and I guess it's hard to get it right. But there's so many variables in it over such a long period of time.
Mm-hmm. I think, Barney, I suppose, yes, it's good having the seat time coming up to the event, but at the same time, you don't want to burn yourself out before the event because it's such a long event.
Well, seat time helps, boys. I don't think you burn yourself out. You can burn yourself out on the event by getting too stressed about every little thing. You have to just roll with the punches, and I tell you, we get a fair few punches through us over the 5 days. But that's what you have to do. You have to just keep getting back up on the horse and not let anything affect you. And sometimes it can wear other people down. And you see in the last 2 days, always there's a wild pile of people just fall. The 3 days thing you can hang on, but when you get to day 4 and day 5, I tell you, you start to, you could give up yourself very easy, like. But no, you just can't let the small things annoy you.
Yeah, and is there any prep you can do for that tiredness or anything, or is it just bore on through it?
Aye, Red Bull.
I guess ideally if you were fitter it would help, but you had that. But it's as much a mental condition as it is a physical condition. Yes, the body's physically drained and it's sore and it's done. Like it's had enough. But mentally, that's where you have to try and hold it together, and that's what's tough. And it is tough mentally to hold that for them 5 days. As Barney said, 3 days you'll always see everybody holding on well. It's when it comes to 4 and 5, and that this rally, especially this year, was a very heavy 5 days. It wasn't a Thursday night, couple of stages, and away you go. It was Thursday morning, and away you went. Your 45 stage miles first thing, and it was a difficult 45 stage miles on Friday or on Thursday. Sorry, it was demanding as well, and then you had the full day Friday, Friday was a big day too. I know that Saturday was it Saturday or Sunday was the biggest. Sunday was the biggest stage mileage, but such as the nature of Kildare, the stages you will knock in a lot of miles, but. My God, for every day was very difficult. Even Scotland on Saturday, it was tricky conditions. There was ice in places. It was slippy. It was just this rally was difficult from start to finish. As Barney says, there's a lot of punches there.
Yeah, the weather conditions probably weren't as extreme as what had been in other years, but that maybe even made it maybe more difficult because you weren't sort of having to drive to the conditions. Everybody just seemed to want to go flat out from the start, Chris and Oliver Solberg and all that, and you can't let them go either too far ahead in case they keep it going for the 5 days.
We see that's it, and I suppose where we were at on Thursday, we were happy enough. Friday, we started to see the guys, with the knowledge of the stages on Friday. There's a lot of classic well stages on Friday, Mahern and the back end of Halfern and things like that. And Sweet Lamb, and we definitely started to see the gap. Getting bigger there, and it was on Friday in the middle of the day, down the back of Halfern. We had a massive moment. We turned it up a wee bit just to try and keep them, not let them off the leash too much. And we had a massive moment in fourth gear, a massive moment. And Barney turned around and says to me, that's big there. We should have been away. And I says, Barney, we're either going to bust her or we're going to put her off. I says, trying to do this. So I says, we'll just do what we do here. And I think that was a defining moment. Came off the boil about myself on Friday night. Too much, really, trying to be too careful. It was the same stage repeated again. But then Saturday, we got a better rhythm. And Sunday was we had a beautiful rhythm on Sunday. Really happy with the rhythm where we're at, what was happening. And we knew the game was at a foot then, what we had to do, And I guess, on one hand, with Oisin going out on, I think it was Saturday Oisin went out, I was probably a bit concerned that might take the pressure of Oliver and he might slow down too much. But here he kept pushing the car on enough that eventually he broke a shaft. And that's probably just a little bit of less experience in an Escort. To be fair to him, I've been driving an Escort a long time now, and you understand the limitations. We've all broke shafts before, so you understand you're driving the car as well not to break a shaft. if you know what I'm saying. So like any of these things, there's always a bit of luck involved as well. And he has to know that. And we all seen the video from him on Friday, Oliver on Friday when he had the car 90 degrees to the road. He was lucky to get away with that one. He went and pushed. He went and put her over the hedge on Monday morning. So there's always that game at the foot too. That could have happened on Friday morning. You just don't know. You have to. I think that's what's important. We've been doing it that long now. We have to do what necessarily works for us. Maybe not works for everybody else, and see where that comes out. And lucky enough, this time it came out with another one.
Yeah, because I remember you said that before the start, something along the lines of, Oliver is 22 years of age. Like, you were that soldier. You have to come to this event and serve your apprenticeship almost before you can. It's not the kind of event that you can just go flat out from the word go.
That's right. But then, if I was 22 and my first year did it in 07, but you look at the caliber of what Oliver's coming behind. He's been a works driver. He's just won the WRC2 commanding this year. He was in a World Rally Car 1 last year. He's done all them things. I was 22. I had done Killarney Historics, a couple of rounds in the UK. It's a different. Yes, don't get me wrong, and I think that's where the R.A.C is a wee bit more unique, because you have to carry the vehicle with you as well. And because it's so long. Even if you start off with a brand new car at the start, there's still certain things you have to do. Well, I don't know if you have to do, but it's all a game of chance, really, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? But certainly, guys like ourselves that understand an escort over many years, I guess have a better chance of getting it finished. But don't get me wrong, by no means, there's plenty of bits fell of our car as well. But we were able to, between ourselves and the guys on the ground, we were able to keep it going and keep it together. And it was a demanding year. There's some years we go to the R.A.C and we would hardly screw apart in the car. And this year on the Saturday, especially in Scotland, it just seemed to be every time we looked around, we were screwing bits in the car. And I think it was the top. I think Ocean was out at that time, but I think the top 5 cars apart from Oliver all bent their steering racks in one place on the stage on Saturday. So we Oliver's definitely got Allan knew about it, which I don't think he did, or he definitely has a well sorted car. To be fair to him, you can all see it in the clips. The car's well sorted. So and that's another thing as well. That's another thing. We arrived the same car we arrived with there 15 years ago to do the rally. So same front leg, same rear leg. So all them things are starting to move on now. There's a lot of concentration, a lot of effort, and a lot of investment from the teams, and you can see that this year shining through in the cars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Barney, yes, Marty mentioned there, the guys were screwing at the car for the whole time. You had a strong team of guys there, and that nucleus of that team has been with you right from 2007 really as well.
It's a fairly heavy duty nucleus. We've got Greg running around non-stop. And John McKillop and thankfully John Moynihan was fit to join us as well, and Jake, Niall, Caroline, Jackie. There's a crew there and everybody knows their job with no dramas, and it takes everybody.
That's right.
To do it. Everybody has to play their part in it, and if somebody doesn't show up to the party, you miss them. Right. you really do, and it can upset your balance. I think we found with this rally the most important thing is you get offside as soon as you can. You don't hang about. You don't try and waste minutes. Every time you get a chance to relax or eat or do something, you take that opportunity because you don't realise until it's too late that you've run yourself down. So it's all about just trying to, as Marty says, keep it consistent and keep your own head about you and keep your own counsel.
Mm-hmm. Because there's no point in trying to please other people. You have to look out for yourself.
Oh, absolutely. I think, to be fair, it was hard for us to find a rhythm at the start of the rally too, with a few wee issues just and Marty was trying to maybe make up for it a bit, was driving too. Like he says, he had a few big moments, but that was just that wouldn't have happened, Marty, if everything was hunky dory. No.
There was a lot. It wasn't smooth running for us at all this year.
No,
no, it wasn't. And just on that one you touched on as well, Barney. I think it seemed to be like on Thursday morning when we got out of bed, there was like one of them episodes of 24, and every minute just went ding, 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 ding. But it just seemed like you never got a minute. You ate when you could eat. You went to the toilet when you could go to the toilet. You slept whenever you got. I don't think I was ever in bed before 1 o'clock. You know what I mean? Like it was just the whole way until Monday night. And then it was just like, and it was even like, it was fairly late on Monday by the time we even finished relatively, it wasn't an early finish. And as I said to Barney, like out of all the years, it just seemed to be relentless, I think, for 5 days.
Yeah. Road miles as well. There was a lot more road miles between the stages this year. It used to be you'd had maybe a bit more single usage. You had, on the Scottish stages or even the Kildare stages, you had, Craig. Then you had Twigley's, Castle, or stuff. You kept on jumping in from one stage to the other, but this time you could have had a 2-hour road section between a stage halfway through the day, and that you come off the cam, you lie down, and it's very hard to get back up again, and you have to get it was a bit, I wouldn't say disjointed, but it was harder to keep up there and keep that thing going, without yawning that you're gonna have to start line.
Yeah, I suppose it's going along that road section and relaxing and getting yourself down, but then whenever the countdown starts, you have to be back at the 100% ready to go again.
That's right.
It just wears you down, because you have chase there as well in this rally, and you're still worried, or I do be anyway, about timing and using everything efficiently. And making sure, like Marty's getting fed and getting, like, I don't give a shit when anybody says the man's arms were burning off him 2 days in, like. So you're trying to keep that whole thing right, and you're not going over the top at any time, like, So it's just a marathon, boys, and that's it.
And like Marty, we spoke before, like this is the one thing, like no power steering, and like for 5 days that is tough going.
And it is extremely tough going. It is, and like there was a stage on the Saturday morning where we had a bit of a stone on the inside of a corner and just knocked the oil out of my hand, and knocked us just over into a bit of a ditch, like, and I was just like, that never happened to me before, but it literally just trying to hold on to that wheel for them 5 days, and be with it all the time. It is, and I'm going to tell you something. I'm 38 now, and people say, "Oh, you're still young," whatever. But I'm not. I'm 15 years older, or 16 years older than the first time I was there, and I'm not out with a shovel in my hand every day anymore. So you notice that, and then I'm going to the gym. We have Jim's Cafe and Driver's Town.
The McDonald's M in the middle of the gym.
Aye. But no, but you do notice it, and it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah, and I think as well this year there was a lot of longer stages. We'll come to the big one, but even a lot of stages where maybe in other years it maybe been 8-10 miles. Suddenly now they're 15 to 18 mile stages as well too, and like that must be difficult to keep the concentration going for that long as well.
It is, especially. I think that's what probably happened to me on Friday night as well, when we lost a minute to the guys on the stage down through the
After and Sweet Lamb.
That's the one, yeah. I just came off the cam and it just ate away at me the whole way through the stage. I couldn't get back in the cam, and then when you're not there, you're pushing yourself to try and get there, but you're not in that sweet spot. So you just have to wait till you get to the end of the stage, and unfortunately we dropped a minute. But yet on the next stage we're fine, So it's all them things there are and you can drive for a road section, do all them things. You give yourself a shake and you say, right, open your eyes wide and say, all right, I'm ready to go. But next thing you get to the first corner, like even on Saturday morning or Monday morning, wasn't it?
Sunday morning.
Sunday morning, everybody had the ice on the first corner.
Mm-hmm.
It was unreal, like, and that's just. But this year was a lot more consistent. I guess that before Oliver did retire on the Sunday, like, I was hoping for a bit of fog on Saturday night, to try and see what way it was going to go down then in the fog, because that throws a good mix into it for everybody. But that didn't come this year. But we did get patches of ice down, even on the Sunday night, wasn't it, Barney? Or Sunday night, wasn't it? There was ice on the stage.
The Saturday morning, you were expecting was the first stage. You were expecting it to be just ice because it's wide open, and
that's right.
There was no ice on it. So but the next stage, whatever it was, no, Dalbeattie was the next stage. Then the one after that, whatever it was,
that's right. That was ice everywhere,
and it was pure. It was lethal. You couldn't have stood on it.
No.
The spectators come to us in the service and said they watched us in some part, and he says we fell there. He says we couldn't have stood on it.
That's right.
They were laughing at how hard you came into it, like.
That's the fear, or the unknown. I suppose if you knew there was ice there, you'd probably have backed off. But if you didn't know it was there,
yeah, that's it. You just have to deal with it,
Yeah.
No gravel crews, unfortunately.
But this year, like the way of Sunday, Oliver goes off. Suddenly you're in the lead. Going into Monday morning, is there a change of mindset, or this guy is only like 4 minutes behind, he's going to be going for it. And this, was that the first stage? Do you put a push on to keep him at bay, or what's the thoughts going into that then?
Well, at the end of the day, he was what was he 5 minutes ahead of us or something when he retired, and that took him 4 days to build that up. And it took us a bad stage on Friday evening and to go get stuck on the hedge on Saturday. So there's 2 minutes right away. So you knock it down to 3 minutes over 4 days. So you say to yourself, well, that's not going to happen. So we changed nothing. We did nothing different. Stay in the rhythm, because you come off the rhythm, then you're worried, and Kildare especially, you're worried about the car, get the car on the wrong side of the road. If you're not in the camber, if you're not putting the car in where you should be, you're getting the loose stuff. There's all them things. So you have to keep yourself on a steady rhythm. Plus, I remember one time halfway through the big stage thinking, I need to go to the toilet. And I was thinking, man, would you need to speed up a bit here? Because it's like an anthem on the stage, you know what I mean? So I had to bring the rhythm back up again, because you're trying to, it was actually a wee bit of a slower section, and you're trying to pick the middle of the road, not to get any punchers, etc. But then once it opened out into a bit of faster stuff, and then you got more committed then. So you've got a certain game to stay in, and I guess that's what we had. Yes, you're in the position now where you're leading the rally by 4 minutes or something, so it's yours to lose. So you do them things that that and we're lucky enough. We're very fortunate. We've been in that position before in the R.A.C, so it's not our first time being there. So you don't panic about it. I guess you just deal with it.
Funny. That's what I was just going to say. We learned 2017. Jason broke a half shaft.
That's right.
On the Sunday evening, and I remember us driving by him. And we nearly stopped because we wanted to commiserate with them, But them next two stages, we just went to jelly. It just because you couldn't get your head around it. Right now we're leading. What do we do? Do we go on? Do you go easy? And then there was ice in the next stage, and nearly put it off in the next stage. And we just went to the wobblers. Just we're lucky. But the minute we went by Oliver this time, Oliver was blocking the stage. So I had to reverse back. And as he says, Marty, there's a gap up there to the right. Try it anyway, because the stage was blocked. So if we got stopped as well, it wasn't our fault, if you know what I mean, technically. So you get a notional time. So we done it anyway. And I remember the next part of the stage was a 250, Marty, down the hill. And I says to you all right? And I knew by the sound in your voice, you just as nice as if you were just voice of saying or reading at mass. You just says, yep, grand. And I knew you were all right. But a winning years ago, that would have been. What do you say? What do you say? Just different, just a whole different mentality now, and you knew what you had to do, no, that was. That
kind of sort of goes back to what you said earlier, Marty. You have experience that money can't buy.
Yeah, but I'm first.
Money did buy it.
That's a lot of money.
Probably. Adrian Hennington's got a great saying about that. You should ask him sometime.
That's a hell of a lot of money to get this experience. Yeah, I can imagine.
He tells it really well. You get him sometime. I must tell him to tell you. But anyway, that's for another story.
Might need a beeper.
Probably.
But then going into that, 38 mile an hour or 38 mile last stage, that is a bushwhacker, a Lakeland rally. That's a day's rally in one stage. You said in the middle of, it's going through your head, I have to go to the toilet. How do you keep the concentration levels up for so long?
Well, it was kind of funny because, yes, it's not, and I guess going into it is a bit daunting because, you're leading the rally and it's up to you to get a punch or whatever. And I remember at the start of the stage, I just wanted to get it done at this stage because we're an hour and a half of service before it. I remember just thinking, we just need to get this done, let's get at it. And I remember at the start of the stage, they were giving us a time, and then they weren't sure if they were going to go in that time, and then they were standing at the door, and they were handing Barney a time, and the next thing they went, right, go. And Barney says to me, he says, only giving us 20 seconds here. I says, slam the fucking door, let's go.
Let's go.
And literally, I just pulled her in the gear and took off. Let's get out of here. I was just, once I got into the stage, I was grand. I was grand, 100%. And you just go, because you've got Pundershaw, you've got that other stage after it. We turned off a slippy section, then I slowed away down the snail's pace, but it was so slippy that it actually ended up, and I was thinking, I'm actually doing the right speed here. For it was a new bit of that Forrester using, it was like a 2.5-3 mile loop. And then you turn back out onto the main drag again. The next thing you know, you're doing, your fifth gear doing 9,000 RPM, flying along, going ones and twos and all that, and a nice rhythm going on and enjoying it. And you just say, and then the next thing you got to the end of that stage, and you see the end of that stage and the start line again, and the next thing you see the start of the next stage, because a couple of miles to the start of the next stage, you see that again. You say, or the last one down. You know what I mean? And that's the way you just broke it down into them sections, and the next thing you know, Barney was saying, "There's the finish line." You know, and it was just and that's, I think, when you're settled in and ready for it, and the fact that we'd done it that morning in 3 stages was a massive help. You know,
Right. Yes.
You know, and we got sunk into a rhythm, and I actually enjoyed the last stage once I got started. Getting it started, then away we went. Yeah.
Yeah. I suppose, Barney, it's more the thought of it rather than the actual doing it. Then, really, is it?
The only real concern I think I had building up till it, well, it wasn't concentration or any of them things. It was going to be tire wear. It was on everybody's head was the tire wear thing. So we figured that out in the morning. We had our options with A, B, and C. You know, whatever. There was all sorts of dramatic options if we needed them. Like, but here we never marked them. 39 mile, boys, and they are out of all the stages we done in that rally. 30, what I don't know, whatever it was. The last stage was 39 mile, and the tires are sitting brand new in the back of her.
Right.
You know, and it just shows that Marty was fit to just rein the thing in and carry the speed with no slipping or sliding. You know, as he says, into the tighter stuff, backed it away off, up to the fast stuff, let her sail on. You know, it was, it was no dramas. Jesus, of all the stages we done that week, that was the only one we didn't have dramas on.
Yeah.
All stop, like it was here. And then I tell you one thing, boys, and I only got a wee glimpse of it, but I think you've seen it all, Marty. The last maybe 2-3 mile of the stage, the marshals and spectators are all clapping you.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you now, boys, that put the hairs in the back of your neck. It just, it's something very, you wouldn't see it in rallying too often. Maybe in Europe, some of them things, you know, on a road section, they'd clap you into the finish, you know, but on a stage, for everybody standing out clapping you. Oh, just fucking,
it was very special. It was very special. But the whole event was so special. From the start line at camaraderie was unbelievable. There was more people there than there has been in any rally I've ever been at in my life. You know, and there's us two so-and-so sitting
Hang on. What are we, Marty?
2 pricks.
Aye, but all of that, a spouting inspector, and what are you?
Oh, a road sweeper. That's the name they named themselves. There's
a bit of an ongoing thing with the Matt Cotton and them, and you know, they never know what's going to come out of our mouths. Like that keeps you going for the 5 days, having the winding the boys up and whatever. Like and we always come up with a new employment. But
tax man away.
That's right. My name's Bernard.
But now that you mentioned Matt and like Paul and Bex and all that, I don't know where you've had a chance to look back at the coverage over, you know, since, but it was exceptional. You know, like this has really raised the bar. Like the live feed, the stage ends. Like, there were some stages that had 2 locations in it, like and a drone, and then cutting to the finish of the stage. Like this, it was class. It really was. For anybody sitting like myself sitting at home watching it, it was probably better than being there.
Yeah, no, I and that's the thing. There's people coming up to you that never watched rally, that are watching rallying because of the coverage and because of the whole hype behind the whole thing. And then because you had the whole build up, you had the big testing session. There was more testing on going to Monte Carlo. You know what I mean? And because I get all that hype beforehand, and then when the rally started, there was so much to back it up. There was so much information. There was so much coverage. There was the talking to the guys on the stage, the live streams, and it just kept the interest, you know, at boiling point. And like so many people have said to me, I watched it over the 5 days. You know, I didn't know what to do with myself, and it was over. You know, one of them ones. Watching Netflix series.
Like it's not often I get rally blues, but like on the Tuesday after, I was like,
you want to be where I was.
But Barney, I suppose like another thing we should mention too is like Ireland is renowned for being tarmac guys, you know, but like the Irish went over, and I think who come up with the phrase, "We're not here to take part, we're here to take over," you know, and it was an Irish invasion,
moment. Liam Moynihan, boys, that'll go down and has to Liam Moynihan's interview with the end of it. Oh Jesus, he shot him down. You know, he gave them both Marlins say whatever he said. Good man, Liam. I'm still laughing when we seen that afterwards. He says, I looked on Friday that Marty wasn't going to win it or something. And Moynihan just, but who's here now? Who's here now?
For sure.
It's funny, the same thing. I had friends at home that haven't watched a rally in 20 years, boys, and they were on saying, watched it all weekend. Couldn't believe it. Brilliant. They And I think there's something about the rally that it's not a sanitized 3 stages in service, or say about rigmarole, and people could dip in and out of it. There was something going on in the evening. It didn't stop at 3:30 or 4:00, and it's just that's the appeal of the rally, boys. It's special. From as Marty says, that start line, I think there must have been 20,000 people standing the whole of Carmarthen right up along the high street.
And that was a Wednesday night. People had to make the effort to go out there and do that. It wasn't that they were out for out on a Friday night and we'll go and have a look and see. They made the effort to go and do that. So.
Yeah, they had till.
They had to close the next road, didn't it?
That's right. They had to close the whole thing.
They had to close the whole road.
Yeah,
it was unreal. I took my breath away. It was unbelievable. The crowds that were out there on Carmarthen at the start, unbelievable. And I think Barney had it right there by saying it's not a sanitised rally. It's not. You come down the stage, people are talking, they're speaking their mind. You know what I mean? Like the normal people in normal cars. You know what I mean? It's not this corporate sanitized, professional sportsman thing. Okay, there's a few of them hanging around, but even they're in a position where they can relax a bit more. And I think that's what gets people, maybe because it's raw and real in a certain way. Maybe I'm wrong saying that, but that's how I think it feels to people that they can connect with it.
Yeah, even Oliver, he was messaging me on the Tuesday. And he couldn't, get over how much crack and banter there was, and he warmed until it. You could see with them lads would sort of be standoffish a wee bit, like poor Chris never got into it at all, and he was mad for that bit of it. Chris just didn't get the chance, but Oliver was sort of standoffish at the start, and we started to wind him up about a few old things and having the crack on him, and then we still, like he said at the end of it, he says, "Oh, I loved it." He says, "No matter about not finishing," he says, "the crack he had with everybody." He says, "You just don't get that in the WRC." Yeah. He says, "Everybody's out talking to everybody," and you would ask them who's, say, "Oh, you on a set of sixes in that stage?" "I was." We were in eights." There was no old bullshit, and it definitely he learnt how would you put it? He's been a professional from he started, but he learnt what clubman rallying, national rallying was about, to think in that event. And I think it'll help him maybe in his future, just thinking back about how you enjoy a rally, and it's not just all about results.
Because it probably, it's probably if you get to a certain level, you probably nearly forget the joy that rallying brought you at the start to get you involved.
That's right. Yeah, it's too much of a business, too much of a job.
It becomes work almost. That's right. Another special part of the event was, I suppose, the camaraderie between all yes boys as well too, and like the Irish this year. It was something special, the effort that was put in from this side of the R.A.C. Barney, maybe you'll take that one.
Aye, it was. We're aware of all the lads, and we're all friendly, and we've all rallied together this good while, back and forwards. And I suppose I was sort of personally a wee bit not disappointed, but how would you put it? Weary that the seedings, I thought the lads should have been a bit further up, but then sure, everybody always thinks they should be further up. But as the rally went on, they got reseated and got closer to us. So then in between the stages, you were having the crack with each other, and as the rally went on, we went over the finish line, and to have Cahan and even Jason Pritchard, great rivals and great friends with Jason and Phil too, and Barry McKenna, I said, is like the Terminator. He just keeps coming. You knock lumps out of him, but he still keeps coming at you And the rest of them, Vivian got finished, had a good result too, and I think Adrian was unlucky in the ice, just got caught out on that first corner in Kershop. But it's great to see the Irish lads coming and enjoying it and showing everybody else how we enjoy our rallying. Sometimes people can get very serious at them rallies, and us boys we all seem to, we're just a big pile of galoots.
And like Marty, Cahan McCord, only second rally in gravel and the BDG as well too. Like that's that has to be something that has to be celebrated as well.
Very, very, very well done to Cahan. To do that, him and Liam, kept their heads, kept the game good. They went in with a plan and they stuck to the plan, and should have got rewarded with second overall. I have to say, very, very well driven by them two lads. And as Barney touched on there, like at the start of the rally, we were up the front, and all the most of the guys were behind us a good bit, and we felt like we were nearly missing out. You know what I mean? We're nearly going to hang around with the guys to come up the road, But as the rally went on, the crack got better nearly for us when everybody got clubbed together a bit better. So it was like, I think it was the Saturday night, wasn't it? Barney Mall ended up. It was a Friday. No, it was the Thursday night, was it? We ended up running behind on the road, and we were.
Oh no, that was Saturday. That was Scotland.
Scotland, wasn't it? We did
yeah.
stuffed up the car. We pulled in on Saturday night and one of we village before the last stage, and the crack was mighty, like, and then messing about, and it was just all you were missing was the bar, like.
Which is a good thing. You used up all your litness very handy there. No, but it is. They're all, and we're all fit to. Jesus, we needed it. Everybody needed spare parts. Yeah, and that's still a good thing about that rally there, that you can work at your car at night, and everybody was giving everybody a hand at night, and we needed it. Barry needed it. Yeah. Cam was alright. He just needed washed.
That's right.
But all the rest of them. But everybody knew what everybody's predicament was, and if there was anything needed, hey boys, get it, tell them.
It's in the back of the van there. Pull it out there if you need it.
Sort it out later, like and that's, it's a while. With that finish line, there's a while sigh of relief, but there's also, you look over at the other people and you say, that was special, boys. I'm glad I shared it with you.
That's right.
Glad we're all part of it, and I think we'll always look back at it in years to come. It's like the Vietnam vets. Only we'll understand.
There'll be a special nod between you.
That's right. There's that we just definitely. There's just that's what that event brings, is just that special thing, boys. You can't put your finger on it.
One of the stars of the event was the Stratus, and the two guys in the Stratus was Seb Perez and Gary McElhinney. Seb, gut wrenching to retire, within sight of the finish almost, but what can we say? What a rally you were having up to that point.
Yeah, to be honest, it was incredibly sad, but sort of actually seeing the amount of people that were out and everything that was going on the event, it was really nice actually, and it sort of made it a little bit better, I'll be completely honest, and all the messages and stuff on social media sort of post R.A.C. has just been ridiculous. I mean, my phone hasn't stopped buzzing and ringing and all the rest of it since the rally. So that side of it's been really nice, and the support we've had has been incredible. Sort of, I was a bit unaware of it, to be honest, in the rally, and everyone was saying, the attention at Stratus has been incredible. Never really realised, and then you come away from something and you got a bit of time to look at things, and you're just absolutely inundated with videos and messages and stuff. So it was really sad, but equally we brought a lot of joy to a lot of people as well. So that was nice as well.
That's for sure. And Gary, from your own point of view, we spoke a few weeks ago, and you said on the previous rally you've done in the car, this car, the handling's not right, but Dan Sport and the guys put in an awful lot of work and transformed the car, I think it's fair to say.
Definitely transformed the car. Done a test, Seb was up maybe 2 weeks before the R.A.C. and made a lot of adjustments and changes, and compared to the Malton stages, I couldn't believe the difference in the car actually. Andy Brown and Dan Sport and Ben and the guys there, and Dan, were as interested in this car doing well in R.A.C. as Seb and I were. So they really got behind it and put in the man hours and really got it good. Now it's still really, really unpredictable. It's still really nervous. It's hard work to drive, but compared to Malton, we're 20th or something in Malton, I think, you know what I mean? And we thought we were driving our best, but the R.A.C. obviously we were on the pace there, so it was much better.
Yeah, and Seb, it's not that with a Stratus you can't go and ring somebody and say, what's the ideal settings for this car? It is you just have to do it all yourself. All this development is all in-house.
Yeah, all in-house. So I mean, there was quite a lot of sort of existing development from when my dad run it in the sort of pre-2000 up to sort of 2018, and quite a bit of that was on gravel. So we had quite a good understanding of a lot of the sort of the weak points on the car and sort of the general problems and traits with it. So when we sort of went back to sort of the gravel setup from, obviously it was in full tarmac trim when we won out in Italy. So there was a lot of work to be done, to put it into gravel trim, and then we went and did the test. And it was a funny one because we ran it on the test and we were like, this thing's really good. This is really, really good. But it was dry, sweet lamb, sort of long progressive corners, few switching places, and it was fantastic. And then we went to Malton and the thing's trying to kill you. It was like a different car. And I think the problem is because it's so short, you make a very small change into shorter terms of wheelbase. You make a very small change, it makes a really big difference. So we went to Malton. The thing was trying to kill Gary and I. There's a few funny videos on YouTube of it swapping ends over bumps and all sorts of stuff. But we ended up on a test and put a lot of time into the car. We were literally there all day. There was a storm literally in the area, like 70-mile-an-hour winds, torrential rain, like the worst conditions you could possibly have. And we got it handling about right in that. So we thought, if it's okay in this, let's just pray it's going to be dry for the R.A.C. So unfortunately it was sort of good conditions, but yeah, fair play to the boys. Like we put some real work into the car and yeah, obviously it came out good in the end.
For sure. And like Gary, like the build up to this event, like the R.A.C. has become more and more popular over the last few years. But like this year, with Chris Meek taking part, and like Oliver Solberg, and then all the usual kind of characters and all there too, like it really seemed to really capture the imagination of the rally, community, but also the wider population as well.
Well, definitely. Well, I think the Solberg thing was huge for the rally, and the Meek thing as well was huge. But I suppose the problem with the Meek thing, it ended too quick. There's only really, they got a day out of Meek really in attention, but Solberg leading the rally and continuing to lead it for the few days brought a lot of attention to it. And I think, people say the Stratus is the star of the rally, but people haven't seen this car since Steve had it in Ypres and had the fire that time. So they seem to all be looking forward to seeing it, and that obviously brought a lot of attention. But definitely the R.A.C. got a good entry this year, as a most it's maybe ever got. You know what I mean? If two WRC stars there, Meek and Solberg, it's going to bring a lot of attention. So there's a lot of hype, there's a lot of buzz. The crowds were huge. Even this year, Seven I done it 2 years ago, and I didn't really know if I knew anybody over there spectating. But this year, there's a lot of guys that I knew were sending me Snapchats and stuff out watching the stages. So it's definitely growing in popularity even more.
For sure. And the Wednesday night in Carmarthen, Seb, was, I don't know, it's like something that, like a real throwback to the R.A.C. days of old.
Yeah, it was really impressive. It was quite funny, actually. We were sort of at the start, like pre-start in the holding area, and we sort of stood around chatting. There's a lot of people moving around, and then we sort of rolled down to the ramp. There's a lot of people, and then someone came in the door and said, "There's a hell of a lot of people here, just to warn you." And we're like, "Oh, right, yeah, it looks busy, but it's a little town." We pulled out the start ramp, and all you could see was people. Like you couldn't see the road or anything. And then a marshal sort of walked us like 150 meters up the road, because we just simply were just like completely surrounded by people. It was just absolutely incredible. And I mean, you do well to see that on a World Championship event now, and I think it really goes to show the spike in historic rallying, the hype that's gone right into the R.A.C. as well, and even on the stages in Wales, like the people. You've never seen anything like it. Obviously, Walters is great because everyone can get into it, but the people everywhere and stuff, it really made the rally. Obviously, the driver lineup, there's a few interesting cars. Obviously, ourselves, Chris Ingram in the TR as well. So I think that helped, and the live coverage as well. I think all of that really brought it to life. I mean, we always say that rallying's like motorsport's best kept secret,
For sure.
and I think the live coverage really helped in just sort of bringing that to people. I mean, we've got friends at home that are sort of into motorsport, but don't really follow it much, and they were following every day. And yeah, it was really nice to see that a wider audience could sort of get into the sport.
Yeah, and it was lovely to see yourself and your dad on the BBC News in the lead up to the event as well too. Like, it's fantastic to see rallying on mainstream media for the right reasons as well, because too often than not, it's always because there's a tragedy or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Unfortunately, there should have been a Three Shires rally literally in Sheffield, like half an hour from where we live, and that should have run in December, and that got cancelled due to PR problems. So, and that made BBC News of someone's not happy with the event going ahead and stuff, and actually to bring some news of motorsport that was positive and had a great outcome as well. We actually had like a minute feature Monday night, I think, as well, sort of saying like what happened in the event and stuff, or where we were until the problem. So yeah, really nice to see BBC getting involved, and yeah, it's hopefully that's more to come, and maybe we'll see more of it in the future.
Excellent. Yeah, that would be great. And like Gary, we talked, the wheel stages, like the names are like R.A.C, like, well, Network Q kind of stages or whatever. But once you went further up Scotland and then into Kielder and all, like those are names back from, whenever I was growing up, like in the 80s and all that there. Those were the terrifying stages that, the Killer Kielder and, all those Scottish stages, and all that there. Like, are they as epic as what we hear?
They are. They are. Scotland was tough on us, really tough on the Stratus. She's a fragile machine, and she really let us know she was from Scotland because we had loads of drama, loads of mechanical things that was letting us down, and just the conditions were tough up there for her. Wales was good to us. Key and my hair and half and all them was really good stages. But I suppose when you get into stages like Pundershaw, like whatever we were children watching Colin McGrady in 95, when you hear names like Pundershaw, you just think, oh, them was the stages of the R.A.C back in the day. And it was really cool to get doing them stages, really cool. But it was hard in our gear now. She let us but still enjoyable. Like, don't get me wrong, it was cool to be there. Kielder's a serious complex, like it's unbelievable. The forest roads around there, cool.
Yeah, and like say, probably your biggest fan of all these people that were following your dad. Like he was, I think, everywhere. Like every time you logged onto social media, he was putting up a post. And it was words and all. Like if the car was having problems, he put it out there. If the things was going great, he put it out there. And like he just seemed to be. He was as getting carried along with this wave of euphoria as much as anybody.
Yeah, it's quite funny actually. He really enjoyed it, and he was actually going to do the event anyway. Originally, he was going to do it either in the Escort or the Porsche, and just go out and enjoy it and do it. And then sort of things come around, and we saw that there was a lot of work to be had on the Stratos. So he sort of pulled out and look, let's focus on the Stratos and get that going. And so he pulled out, and then I think actually he enjoyed doing it more. Sort of spectating and being involved sort of with the team and watching me than he would have been doing it himself. He said if he was just doing it himself, he'd be looking at what was going on with me anyway. So he's funny. He was at all the service points, end of stage, waiting to tell me times and stuff, watching the live stream, like behind Matt, doing the live stream to find out times. And then if we didn't see him, he'd WhatsApp him through and stuff. So yeah, it was really nice just having him there and involved. And I think the car, it definitely steals hearts, and it's something that sort of gets under your skin, and you sort of don't quite appreciate it sometimes. And I've been very lucky to be immersed in it all the time and be heavily involved with the car from a really young age, and you sort of get used to being with it. And then you get to an event like the R.A.C. and you see the amount of people and the messages and how much of a thing it means to be seen and out and competing is really special. And that moment of actually, with the Stratos, you sort of don't think about it too much sometimes, and then you realise actually how iconic that car is and was. Yeah, it's really special.
Yeah, and like that engine, my God, what can we say? The noise, the revs. Oh, it's like no other.
Yeah, it's not. Unfortunately, it is like no other. That 24 valve engine, I think there's two of them with that particular engine competing at the moment. So very special car, but it's a pig to drive. It's a tarmac race engine, so it's all really cammy. All the power's at the top end. It's still producing power on the limiter. So you watch the videos and the things like bouncing off the limiter in places, but that's the only way to drive the car. You've really got to wring its neck, and that definitely adds to the challenge of driving the thing. It's tough to drive anyway, and then you get in it, and you've got no torque, so you're just revving it to try and get some power out of the thing. And then it's a real challenge. Fourth and fifth are too tall. I got into fifth about 3 times on the whole rally. So yeah, we were sort of compromising a bit anyway, but yeah, it's a special thing nonetheless.
Yeah. So Gary, all that revving wasn't just showing off then.
Wasn't just showing off now, but you put some speed there. But like, if there's an example of an enthusiastic dad that wants to see his son and his car doing well, it's Steve Perez. He put in so much effort for us this week in that car to make sure the car was right. And I think that's half the reason he pulled out of the rally himself. He was just so keen for us to do well, and just to be there, to be on it, and keep everybody enthused. And as Seb said, like at the end of stages, every time we had mechanical drama, he was there videoing it, and that's one thing about him. He just put out, if we had problems, he just put it out there. He didn't hide anything. We had loads of stuff going wrong, and he was there. Just I think he was Facebook Live in one time that the gearbox half apart and all. And we didn't even know that until that night when Dan said, like, "Oh, we're live on the internet trying to fix it." So, but the noise of it is the one that's people just all the videos that people send you. The video goes on for maybe 15 seconds before you actually see the car. Sometimes you end up just scrolling on but yourself to see the car in action. The noise of it. The one question everybody asks Seb and I, how bad is it inside? How do you hear inside this car? It's not actually too bad inside. The noise all seems to go out the rear end of it in the cockpit. Yes, you can hear it, but it's not as bad as everybody thinks it is inside.
Or as good.
Well,
it doesn't sound like it does on the videos in the car. That's definitely, especially when you got some Irish bloke screaming at you to slow down.
That's just the road section, is it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you should wait till you hear the stages.
We had a few heavy road sections now after getting a few things fixed and trying to make the time. We were definitely pushing on a few of them as well.
Yeah. And except, you've mentioned it a few times, the guys that was involved in keeping this show on the road, like they deserve a special shout out for the amount of effort they put in as well.
Oh, they do. Those lads, like, yeah, I could have kissed them at times. Whether they appreciated it or not, I'm not too sure. But yeah, honestly, it was really special. Like, they knew how much work's going into this car. Obviously, they've worked on it, and then the work they put in on the event was second to none. Like, we had a crown wheel problem and a clutch problem on day 4, so we found a workshop in Carlisle. We got some guys coming up from back home bringing parts up. They drove up, and then the boys fitted them through the night. They got in at like 5:30 in the morning, and then they were back out on an hour's sleep. So they were in it as much as we were, and it was really special to have that support, and you just knew that they'd do anything for you. And yeah, it's really, really nice. And I think that's what that car does sometimes. I think it's really infectious, and sort of you're in it at that point, and you've got to keep it going no matter what. And I suppose that's part of rallying as well.
That's for sure. And Gary, I suppose we'll start wrapping up. Like, now that you've seen, the live stream and all that, since the event and the amount of coverage the rally has got, like, this was taken to a whole new level. This has really raised the bar.
Oh, without a doubt, yeah. We're all, as I said, but we didn't know much about the whole thing at the time of the live stream, and obviously we were being interviewed at the end of the stage and stuff. But when we got a bit of time now, after coming home to see what was going on, the effort went in for that rally. And it was just unbelievable. The coverage was really cool. Matt Cotton at the end of the stages, he was on the ball. He knew what was going on. He knew about all the battles. And Paul Woodford, a guy there who's really into the Stratus as well, and he was doing the live thing. It was brilliant. Very, very good. Yeah.
I like Seb. This was back to the old Top Gear of the 80s and early 90s and one thing and another. I mean, you probably don't remember these, like, you're not as old as me, but like he even went full retro. We had the William Willard shirt and tie and the retro jacket and all on. Like, Paul Woodford, I think, and Matt as well, really made this event something else.
They did. It was, yeah. It wouldn't have been the same without those guys doing the reviews and end of day, stage reviews and stuff. It just really, really made it and brought rallying to everyone as well. And that's what you want, especially in an event like that where it's in all sorts of different places. The weather's bad. It's not the best thing to go out spectating, even though we saw so many people spectating. Actually, to bring it to people as well is so important. And I think what really made the rally as well with some of the top names in it as well.
Yeah, and I think before we finish up, does prep for 2025 start now then?
It's already started. The engine's coming out of the car. It's already been blasted out. I had a fairly steady day on Tuesday, so I walked up and some of the boys that didn't go on the rally were there, and and they had the car out of the trailer starting to blast it off already straight day after the rally. And yeah, it was a bit sad to see her sort of being towed behind a buggy, pulled onto the wash bay. I'm not going to lie, but yeah, it's we've got some work to do before 2025, that's for sure. Hopefully it's going to be ready for March for Rally Mallorca, which we plan to do. So let's see. Hopefully the engine isn't too bad, but it was just a case of trying to get it somewhere safe and get it pulled up. But yeah, it's a real shame, and that sort of 24 valve engine is really special as well. There was a bit of confusion online, I think, so I'll get it clear. I've got to keep having to tell everyone, but there's a few 24 valve engines that are an Alfa Romeo engine. This is in fact a Lancia engine, which was built by Ferrari for Lancia. So this is a proper Lancia 24 valve engine, sort of as it was in the day, obviously correct to period regulations as well. But yeah, there was a lot of people thought it was an Alfa engine, Hayabusa, all sorts of weird and wonderful things, but it is a proper Ferrari Lancia 24 valve engine.
Yeah, and this, it was this that would give the problem on that very last stage. Like there was a report went round that you were off and one thing and another. It was, you just drove as far as you could. There's like a video out there with smoke and steam coming out the back, and then you had to pull in. It was just quite enough.
Yeah, it was, and yeah, unfortunately, it was just there's sort of two Achilles heels on that car. One is the gearbox, which we had on the evening of day 4, and then the other one's a water pump belt, and it's just really ill located by the wheel, by the exhaust, and we've had problems with them in the past, and it just stung us and broke, and that's that. And we're looking at options to try and improve it, but it's one of these things. It's as it was, trying to improve the belt or how it picks up and stuff, but it's a bit of a task, especially in the polymers on gravel. Anything could have happened. It might have broke, or a stone had got in it, or something silly. We just don't know. But yeah, just incredibly unfortunate.
You talked about 25 there, yeah. We had a promise where we broke down eventually after driving for miles slowly. We pulled in at this junction, and there was 3 or 4 really good marshals there, really boys on the ball. And we obviously lifted up the rear clam to see what had went wrong, and they helped us as much as they could. They were trying to get us going again, but damage was done at that point. We couldn't drive no further. But we had a promise to them that we'd be back in 2025 with the Stratus. So hello to them, a couple of boys out there, the marshals up there happened to watch this, that were so helpful. And as I say, we had promised to them that we'll be back in 2025 with Stratus.
Huge thank you to Seb and Gary for coming on. And they're absolutely gutted. And I definitely can't wait to see that Stratus back out again. Hopefully it's repaired soon and back out on the stages.
That's for sure. But without further ado, let's hear from some of the crews from this side of the R.A.C. It was over there. So we'll hear from Robert Woodside, Allan Harryman, Dean Beckett, Bryan Jardine, Fintan McGrady, Davy Burns, and Declan Campbell as well. And they all seem to have a really epic rally as well too. So yeah, enjoy this chat as well. Robert, yeah, out in the Porsche, historic event, a historic car. You had a great run.
Yeah, we did. If you had asked us multiple times during the event, we might not have agreed with that. But at the end of it, our ambition was always to finish in the top 10. After the first ambition, of course, of getting to the finish, which is not guaranteed in this event. So we ended up, in summary, it was probably a great run, but didn't quite feel like it along the way. So.
and Dean, you were in the passenger seat. Like, what was, the kind of event that throws everything at you? Was it what made you want to go and do that event? That's probably what I'm getting at. Is it like the adventure of it?
Well, I think certainly the adventure of it is a big attraction. When Robert phoned me, I think I had like a 4 millisecond yes please, I would love to do it, which is unreal. But I think from the point of view that listening to Fintan over the last while and listening to the stories from other guys, it just sounded so amazing and tricky, difficult, back in the woods, wee bit of unknown stuff. I mean, some of the guys that we were competing against obviously know those woods like the back of their hands. When take the Wales guys out up to Scotland, it might have been different for sure, but vice versa. But it was just unreal crack,
Yeah. And like David, I think that's probably what I've took from talking to a lot of people about it and listening to watching the online stuff and all, is the crack. It's a it's competitive rally. Yes, everybody wants to do their best and everybody wants to win, but it's back to the old days. It's all that the camaraderie between all the drivers, the co-drivers, and all there as well.
I think that's what you say. Just Kevin, the camaraderie is really among all the crews. One thing, like certainly competing at home, you get that very competitive against everyone. But because it's 5 days, everybody wants to do something for everyone. And as much as, like one example we came out of the forest on, I think was it Sunday night, and everybody was dying to get to the toilet as you are and stuff like that. Stopped the car and black dark, got out, went to the toilet, got back in, and we hadn't even got the car started, and Steve Bannister pulled up beside us and basically said, he's all right, lads, because the car was sitting in darkness. It was basically going to throw a rope out to get us towed out to meet the chase crew and stuff like that. But I think it's just overall, everybody wants to help everybody. Everybody wants to try and see everyone finish to the end. We're all in this together, I feel like. And it's the big challenge of it. And it's basically to do, just because it's such a long duration event. It's more a marathon than anything else. Those that certainly rush off at the start line all unfortunately fell by the wayside, if you like. But no, I think it's unbelievable that to pull everybody together, if you like, just on what that does. And like you were talking to people from Belgium, France, everybody's equal and everybody just wants to do whatever they can. They would throw struts or calipers or half shafts or whatever you needed. As far as even, I was struck for a battery at one stage, and I think it landed from Belgium out of a chase vehicle and to help us out, like, so it did. But no, it was unbelievable.
And like Bryan, from your point of view, the Mark 1, you've built up this year, and you've done a few events to get yourself in the frame of mind for this event and all. But like, does that never prepare you for the R.A.C?
No, absolutely not. We're only used to just doing wee 1 day events and small rallies like 5 Mile Town and Bushwhacker and stuff. So never really competed in anything as big as this. Went out in 19 just and done the Clubman event and sort of got the taste for the English, force, and really enjoyed it and said I had to get back sometime.
And like the car, performed, you had a few wee issues, but nothing too drastic over the week.
No, the car was faultless, to be honest. So it was. We had no real issues. We changed the gearbox once just for precaution, as there's a slight weep from a sail, but on that, Jerry Buckley, now he made a serious job, of the car. They put the engine and box and stuff in it at the start of the year for 5 Mile Town, and I broke a wheel in the second last stage, and so we're non-finished that, but every other event from it, just finished every event. So yes, we had a great run now.
Brilliant. And Fintan, from your point of view, not your first time there, but as Dean mentioned there, you've been singing the praises of this event. Like, good to go back?
Absolutely brilliant. It's a long endurance event, and you've got to be prepared for it. The last time I did it, I hired a car, and in comparison to this time, even though the result wasn't as good because we had alternator issues on the first night, at the end of the day, it was much more fun taking my own car because we took our own people and the crack was good, and it was really, we went with the right attitude. We went with the attitude, let's have fun first, and no matter what, let's try to get to the end of this. One thing I would say about the organisers, Colin Heppenstead, it's his mission to get everybody to the end. No matter what problem you have, he will do his best to get you to the end. And as was said earlier, everybody's there and will help everybody else. Like, we got a petrol tank delivered from Squires up in Carlisle. We got alternators delivered from Sherwood. It was just, things just appeared. People wanted to help, even people that weren't involved in the event. Mark Solway met us along the way with bits and pieces as well at a filling station on the way up to Carlisle. So it is amazing, even people that have nothing to do with the event or not at the event, they will always want to help you. So a fantastic effort.
I suppose what really captured my imagination was the huge crowds that was there for the start and right throughout the whole event. This event this year seemed to really capture the imagination of not just the spectators, but the drivers. Like, with Chris Meek and Oliver Solberg and all that. What was that like to be there at that start line in Carmarthen?
It was unreal. When you come down to that ceremonial start, we thought the crowd was big leading down to it. When you turned the corner, it was just unreal. Like, I hadn't seen that in years in anything.
Yeah.
It was like the big R.A.Cs of the 80s. used to see the starts off in Chester and stuff, and there was as big, the crowds were as big as that. And then when you got to Wales the next day, I couldn't get over the crowds.
Mm-hmm.
Unreal.
Yeah, and like that continued right throughout, because like Scotland, there was huge crowds up around Kielder and all that too. Like, you know, and this was like I seen, you know, it's captured really with, you know, BBC, you know, different mainstream media were covering the event towards the end as well too, which is fantastic to see.
Yes, without a doubt. It seemed to capture the imagination this year, and it seems that, well, I was only there as a spectator before, but it was far bigger from what I seen this year than before. Like,
for sure. And like Allan, you know, these other guys are all saying about, you know, the way everybody pulled together to get people through. Like you said, your fair shares of trouble, but like the team made this happen. The team kept you going. The organisers, you know, got behind you, pushed you, you know, to keep you going. Like some other events would have almost turned the nose up at you at that stage, but no, get back out here, get going again.
That's the beauty about the event. That's why Tony loves to do it, because of that fact that they want you to stay in the event, even though like, after a mile and a half, I thought that was it over. I thought that we need a new engine, but then it turned out, you know, once you look inside it, well, it just needs a wee bit of work to the cylinder head. The boys can fix it, and you're allowed to restart. Mm-hmm. But it's such a completely different ethos of rallying, and to be part of it. And as Declan was saying there, the ceremonial start, I haven't seen the likes of that since Rally Ireland, and I was at 2007. Mm-hmm. You know, the people that were around, the crowd control didn't exist. There was no police there, but everybody was happy, friendly, you know, sticking programs in through the window. There was school kids out there, you know, 9 o'clock at night. It was just a really good, wonderful experience.
Yeah, and it was a Wednesday night. It wasn't even the weekend. You know, people had to make that effort to go out and do that.
Yep.
The thing, you were going up through Wales on the Friday, and the boys will attest this. You were going by schools, and all the children were out at the side of the road waving with the teachers. Yeah. Like, where do you ever see that?
Yeah, yeah, like that's just class, isn't it? And like I seen some of the schools, and was it Lumpter? Marion Evans come out and said that the headmaster of that school brought them to the R.A.C. whenever he was at school there too. So like, it must be real. It must be died into them.
That shows the seed in them for the future.
For sure.
And that's proper education.
Yes,
absolutely. Same education as we had.
Probably.
Yeah. And like Robert, I don't know where you get a chance to catch up with the coverage that, you know, the guys put on between Special Stage and Matt and Bex, and it was out of this world. It's like it has really raised the bar for coverage on events.
Yeah, I haven't really seen much. It's a funny event because it's sort of when you're in the event, it is actually quite insular. You don't really get a feeling or a sensation of what's going on. You don't really see many other competitors because you're always on the move, and you don't get I get catching up with friends at the very end of the event that had been doing the event since the start. Quite funnily, actually, our teammate Federico from Italy, the final evening of the rally, he came over and gave me a big hug and said, "I can't believe that you've been my teammate for 5 days and we haven't even met each other." And it was because we literally, you know, even though we went through scrutiny, we signed on and right through the whole event, but because you're always moving. But from the media coverage, anybody I've spoken to has said that it's been really enjoyable to follow, very informative. My brother-in-law messaged me last night to say it was the first rally he has watched in a long time where he actually understood everything that was going on all of the time. And you know, there was good coverage right through the midfield and the later guys. So, you know, the modern day coverage is only about the top 3 or 4 guys, and those are the guys that are always going to be there. But the midfield and lower guys are the guys that have to really dig into their last corner of the drawer to get the budget to do such a big and difficult event. So it's great that everybody get coverage on it.
That's for sure. And like David, I seen you mentioned earlier there too about, you know, the coverage the event got, and you know that will open up doors for, you know, other competitors. You know, if now you go knocking at the door in 2 years' time looking to get the budget again, you'll be able to say, you know, this fantastic coverage. Like there was some of the stages, there was 2 cameras on, a drone, and then the stage end interviews. Like that's even better than world class.
Oh, totally. Look, and at the end of the day, I was fortunate enough, like, we were sitting actually on, I think it was the Glencaird stage in Scotland with a bad compression jump that everybody was giving off. And I had got a message from home to say, be careful over the compression jump at the start of the stage. Everybody's complaining about it. And it's like, where would you get that on a clubman event? But lots of friends had been messaging me, and some were unable to obviously get across and stuff like that. And they were really saying it was, right, do you go across and get cold and listen to the sounds and the roars of all the cars through the forest at night, or actually sit and watch all the live streams? And nearly everyone that I've been talking to has nearly watched all of the live streams over the weekend and felt that they were actually part of it. So look, what they've been able to do, how they've been able to get the service coverage, because I know at places that I had no phone service at all, but how they've been able to transmit at the end of the stages was unbelievable. But just what Robert was saying, like, there was such an effort made to make the lower crews, and it takes everybody in that rally to enter to make that event successful, I suppose, for the Heppenstals, and from a finance point of view. But everybody is treated equal. You know, you've actually made it through that stage, so you're a winner, if you like. So, and it's not necessarily about maybe where you might place. I think it's that, hang on, I've actually drove over the finish line of every stage or whatever, and it's equally as important.
For sure. And like, Bryan, from your point of view too, like, you know, you probably appreciate that too, because like, it's a huge effort to get you there and to be able to, you know, follow in the wheel tracks of, you know, Marty McCormick or Oliver Solberg or whoever. Like, that's, you know, that in football terms is like run out at Old Trafford or Anfield or whatever, you know.
Yeah, no doubt. We really enjoyed it. We had a great road position. We were second last in the 1600s. So then there was just Weaver behind me, and then a 10-minute gap, and then Marty McCormick. So I probably got the best crowd. So it did. At the start of it, they're all there waiting, and the big boys coming. So there seemed to be Mark 1 coming up through it. So they did. So, yeah, we had a brilliant event, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and like, what was the stages that stood out for you? Was there a particular area that you really enjoyed?
Not really. I enjoyed the Wales, you know, was good and wide, you know, I enjoyed it. And then the wee tight ones in Scotland, a bit more like 5 Mile Town and home, you know. So, we've got a good view of all the stages, you know, wide on now. So we did enjoy them all now. So it's good to see, you know, the different types of stages and stuff too, you know. And the bigger stages, you know, the 10 and 16 mile, you know, we obviously the first time ever doing anything like that, you know, I'd say probably 7 mile probably was about the most I've ever done in the forest. So it was good to get the bigger stages, and we're getting onto them because I suppose they were open, you know, and faster, and you were, you know, traveling, you know, more miles, you know, it was taking you less time to do the stages. We're at home, you know, a wee 3 and 4 mile, it nearly takes as long because they're so tight, you know. But no, we really enjoyed them now, brilliant stages.
And like, Dean, this, you know, the length of the stages, that is something that I picked on over the weekend too. This was going back to, you know, days of old. You know, like a 17-mile stage was almost a short stage.
Absolutely. I mean, I had absolutely no bloody idea what that big one was going to be like. I had no clue. But at the end of it, it just went like a blur. It just flowed. It happened. Very interesting the way the whole thing was put together, that last one. And there was always a few doubts as to whether it would run and would there be enough people off at, you know, at particular times, and how the hell do they run it? But it worked really well, and I think on one of the last 6 rights over the crest, Robert, you remember the OK one? He started having a conversation with me about it because it was just an unreal sort of section of that particular long stage, and it just kept going and going. So yeah, it was fantastic.
Like, you know, 38 miles, like the Bushwhacker, I think, is like 40 miles long or something, you know, for a whole day, and this was one stage.
True. And you know, and it worked. And I think again, from the organisers' point of view, you know, to have the marshals where they should be in the right place, and we had no issues with spectators. And at one point going through the evening, I think we sort of classed it as, it was nearly like an escort graveyard. God help the guys, you know, they were all off. We were coming around corners and there was steam coming out of cars and there was people slowing us down. Unfortunate for them, because it's not nice to see anybody going off on, you know, on any stage, but it was just an unreal experience for sure.
Yeah. And like Declan, you know, Killer Kildare like lived up to its reputation as well too. Like like, you trying to think, the Sunday morning, like the stage there, like guys were coming to the end, and this guy's off, you know. I remember back in the 80s watching, the Top Gear reports, and this killer Keeler, like it was the thing of mystery. Like, is it something else? Is it pinch yourself moment when you're sitting in the middle of all that as well?
Keeler's just an unreal force. I think we both like it. I think we all like it. We were over a couple of weeks before, a month before, doing the Carlisle Stages was run through Keeler. And I think that Carleton Forest would have to be, I would say, the nicest forest I was ever in. But it's unreal. Like, we went out on Sunday morning and it was icy. We were running, as Brian was saying there at the front, and it was icy. We come out over a crest and we landed on ice, and a big moment down, on the ice. And it sort of, everybody seemed to, a lot of them seemed to go off on that stage and slide off the road. But that's part and parcel of Keeler. Like, it's unreal. Then get Keeler in the dark, which that was unreal. Yeah. Big long stages in the dark. Where are you ever going to get that again?
No, for sure.
Hopefully nowhere.
And like Fintan, from you, like, I don't know, how do you prepare to go into a forest at night? Like, is there eat your carrots for a week before? Or how, or is it just total trust in what the co-driver calls to you?
Well, there's all that too. I think what stands by me is my history, going back to the Circuit of Ireland, the dark nights, the Partridge Mountains over in Galway, 18 miles stays there in the fog and the mist, and it brings a whole lot back to me from my early days of rallying. From a navigator's point of view, I was blessed in that Cormac, my son, is adapt to it, and he's young and he's able for it. But yes, you need to watch your notes. You need to be careful, and you need to exercise caution, because it's such a long event. And Keeler in itself is an interesting place in that if you do slide off, you're in a shock and you ain't coming back out again. And this happened to me on Sunday night in the dark. We slid off the road. We looked at each other and said, "Whoops, that's it, all over." And 10 seconds later, there was an army of, I call them professional spectators, armed with ratchet straps and tow ropes. Within 3 minutes, my car was back up on the road, and they were shouting, "Go on!" So our rally was over, only for those guys, but they were standing there waiting on Fintan and McGrady, because that was their excitement. That was what they were there for.
Their day.
He's coming now. That's the note.
But just when we're talking about spectators, I don't know if you've noticed how some of the spectators got to some of the locations, having looked at some of the maps and stuff like that. You were going through 16-mile stages, and nearly every mile there was 2 or 3 lunatics standing, okay, with high-vis vests on them, and it was great to say, right, okay, that's the corner down there, and things like that. But the spectators through the stages, some of those guys put some effort in to get in where they were going. It was unbelievable there.
That's right.
Walk miles.
Did you not smell the bacon and egg on your way by? Staying over, some of them were staying overnight in those forests.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
Kevin, a funny thing I noticed, just when we're on the topic of spectators, I thought I would mention it. We obviously started in the south of Wales, and you're in a different land. We flew out and drove over, and the camaraderie we already talked about. But you eventually end up, after a couple of more or less all-nighters, in the middle of Dumfries at a service park. And I hadn't really thought too much about it until I opened the car door at the service in control, and the first thing was a Northern Irish marshal, female marshal. Then there was about 20 Northern Ireland rally boys, sticking their head in the window. "How are you getting on? How are you getting?" And it was, I said to Dean, it was the most surreal experience. You would swear you just landed back in Northern Ireland to do a local rally. And everywhere you went, every junction, there was boys hanging out waving at you. Every service, they were sticking their head into the car. And it was, it didn't really put it together until obviously we were only, half an hour from Stranraer, and I remembered a lot of the guys saying they were coming over. But it was literally like landing in. It was a real lift for me. I was like just doing a home rally all of a sudden. All the boys were out, and was having not really seen many guys for the previous couple of days in Wales. It was a fantastic experience.
Excellent. And like Allan, Tony, that you were your driver. That was like he was blown away with this. The welcome he received. This is his second time now competing there, and like he just seemed to be like wandering about, talking to everybody, and it just seemed to love the whole atmosphere of it all.
Well, sure, he's a professional PR guru.
Yeah,
that's his dream. That was his big event. That's what he looks forward to every couple of years. He he clues himself up, he gets the sponsors on board, and he gets the PR people behind him, and he just milks it for every second. And he loves it. And he loves the fact that, Chris Oliver, Chris Ingram, Seb, they were all there. He was able to mingle with them, get little interviews with them. Yeah. And to be part of it, him and his little Avenger, which is his car, he pays for it out of his own pocket, loves every second of it.
Yeah, and the positive vibe that puts to gives out to beyond rally, and then he'll put that out then, and there'll be people F1 people see that as well too, and see how good rallying is.
Yeah, and not only that, the sponsors he brings in, are not even motorsport people most of the time. They're just like the Trad Oak company, the Sustain Fuel. Like, who knows what that's going to do for historic motorsport, just being able to have a fuel that you can buy and put in your car without any problems with it. So for him, yeah, he's gone home. Okay, it wasn't a perfect event, but he's gone home very happy.
Excellent. Well, I think we'll start wrapping it up. So I think, the best thing, maybe the way of wrapping it up is to, what is your one abiding memory from the R.A.C. rally, if you want to put it in one word or one section, so maybe we'll start with Declan. What's your one abiding memory of the event?
It's just a marathon event. It was unreal. It was a dream to do. So it was.
Yeah. And Allan, your thoughts on that one?
Stratospheric.
Very good.
Good words. Good words.
Fintan, we'll put you on the spot now.
Epic. Inverted commas. Epic.
Yeah. Bryan, your thoughts on
it? Team effort.
Definitely
team effort.
Excellent. Yeah. David?
I would say, look, Clubman world class. Just because it just lifts everybody to a different level, to the point that you think, you're competing in, look, it's our own mini WRC nearly, to the point, we all wanted to do, but I think it's that overall marathon thing. It's a challenge. None of us have done safari. We'd love to do safari and stuff like that, but I think that's our safari.
Excellent. And Robert, final word to yourself?
I've always known of the R.A.C. from I was no age, and it's amazing when you mention to somebody you're doing the R.A.C., everybody understands it. They don't maybe know what it is, but the word that I would use to describe it would be legendary, because it is one of those events. It just is legendary.
So thanks to that gang of lads there too, put them a wee bit on the spot there, getting them to describe the rally in one word or one phrase, but some of them words like Allan, Harryman, stratospheric, what can we say, that just really encapsulated the R.A.C. to me. So that's the R.A.C. special. Can you please share, rate, subscribe, all those things. Keep doing what you're doing. Gratefully appreciate it as always. So until next time, take care, speak soon, and bye.